Kia ora!
Welcome to New Zealand.
You joined us here in Lake Pukaki and we've driven all the way from Queenstown and we're driving up to Christchurch, so come along for the ride with us.
If you're pushed for time and you've only got 5 days to spend in New Zealand, then what we've done is put together our highlights. We've both been here twice before, and we've chosen the South Island to spend 5 days before we head to French Polynesia on Friday. Well, that was cinematic New Zealand, but this is how it started. Rain and cold. We were pretty jet lagged, and when you're tired, you eat. Well, we do anyway. And if you're in Queenstown, you know there's really only one place to turn. Ferburger. First opened in the late 90s, it's been pulling in crowds ever since, especially on days like this, with people queuing in the rain for what are genuinely very good burgers. We went for a Greek-style lamb burger and an Indian butter chicken burger. Out of 10? With temperatures around -3, we opted for something indoors. And when you're in New Zealand, there's one thing you really should see: a kiwi. I'd always imagined them to be quite small, but in person they're bigger than you think and oddly prehistoric. No tail, barely any wings, and a long beak with nostrils right at the tip, which they use to forage. You can actually see it here. After all that excitement, we headed for an early night. So we found this stunning place for breakfast this morning, and we've got a helicopter flight in 10 minutes. We arrived here at what? Maybe at 9 a.m. It's 9:30. We need to be at the heliport, which is 5 minutes away, at 9:40, and the food hasn't arrived. So we're feeling a bit stressed. Do you think we're gonna make it?
I think we will. Depends on what it takes though.
So we got inhaled this like really nice looking food in about 3 minutes. We've already paid, and then hop in the car and hoon over. Let's see how much indigestion we end up with. The food's arrived. And we've got 2 minutes to get through it all. First one's done. It's almost too pretty to eat, isn't it? Isn't it nice?
Delicious.
I'm sure it'd be a lot nicer if we didn't have to inhale it. We arrived at the airport at exactly 9:40, just as the helicopter we'd be flying in was touching down. We filled in a few forms and received a quick briefing, and we were straight on board. There's a moment when you first sit down in a helicopter where everything feels slightly unreal and you can't help but smile. And then the thing just lifts off and Queenstown falls away behind you. Within minutes, the landscape changes completely. Lakes, snow, and mountains everywhere you look. The water here is an intense blue caused by fine glacial particles suspended in the lake's water, scattering the light and giving it that blue colour, something you can really notice from the air. And at this point, the novelty of the helicopter still hadn't worn off. Ahead of us, as we pass over this snowy hillside, the terrain really starts to open into these long, U-shaped valleys, carved by glaciers, with clear snow lines running straight across the mountainside, with grass below and snow above. It's like somebody's drawn a line straight across the landscape. From there, we drop lower, flying through the valleys with the peaks towering on either side. Waterfalls appeared almost out of nowhere, fed by melting snow higher up in the mountains. As we approached Milford Sound, the landscape softened, and rivers winding slowly behind us as we followed them towards the coast. And then suddenly, you're over the fjord itself, surrounded by sheer rock faces before banking left and touching down at the airstrip, a pretty cool way to arrive at Milford Sound. After a quick pit stop to grab a coffee and a hot chocolate, we took some cheesy pictures and hopped straight back in the helicopter to depart. As we lifted away, we got a great view of Lady Bowen Falls dropping 162 metres right into the fjord. It's one of the few waterfalls here that flows year round. Looking straight down the fjord, the scale really starts to hit you. At this point, everyone's pointing at something different, which is always reassuring in a helicopter. Flying back over the Southern Alps, our pilot pointed out mountains that Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay trained on before Everest, which puts our contribution to mountaineering very firmly into perspective. And then, quite casually, we landed on a glacier in the Southern Alps. Amazing! So cold! Deeply insightful commentary, as ever. We'd originally planned to land in Milford Sound and take the cruise, but the weather meant it wasn't safe to do that, and so the helicopter company switched us onto a flight and glacier landing trip so we could still experience the fjord. They were professional throughout, and it cost about 2,000 New Zealand dollars for the two of us. After that, it was time to head back and change pace completely. From the silence and snow of Milford Sound, just 20 minutes from where the helicopter landed is Shotover Canyon, and we are aboard a Shotover jet boat with twin V8 engines pushing somewhere around 1,000 horsepower, firing us along at up to 50 knots. From my seat, in about -2, it turns out that the frozen rain at 50 knots feels very much like what I imagine being sandblasted in the face would feel like. Jet boats are actually a New Zealand invention, developed for rivers just like this, where shallow, fast-flowing water makes propellers useless. Instead of a propeller, an impeller draws the water in underneath and blasts it out the back, which means they can run in incredibly shallow water, stop quickly, and turn sharply. Today was actually the first day they'd been able to run in several days after the river had been too high, which meant the water level was still up and the canyon felt slightly closer than usual. It's loud, fast, completely ridiculous, and an absolute must-do if you visit this part of New Zealand. Where are we driving, driver?
To Wanaka, across the Crown Range mountain pass.
And you were a bit concerned that
Might be snow on the road.
so far we're alright. Our little trusty Ford Puma's doing good, isn't it?
This is the lowest the snow's been all year apparently. It's supposed to be spring.
Yeah. Our summer holiday has become somewhat wintry. We found this incredible wall of bras. Which is for breast cancer awareness. We're in an area called Cardrona, and so this is called Bra-drona. You gonna put your bra on there? No.
I brought one with me.
Well, you could pick one up here. Do you reckon there's one in your size? Wow, it's quite impressive, isn't it? We then decided to stop at the Cardrona Hotel, less for the history and more for the sausage roll in the sun, before carrying on. Not long after, the road squeezes down at the neck, a narrow strip of land where Lake Wanaka and Lake Hāwea almost meet, with barely a few hundred metres between them. On calm days like this, the water is completely still, and it's marvellous to look at. We ended the day in a cute Airbnb by the shore of Lake Hāwea, ate really well in the only hotel they have there, and called it an early night because hooker was waiting for us in the morning. And no, not that kind. So, you join us today in the Hooker Valley track, where we drove this morning from Lake Hāwea. It took us about 2.5 hours leisurely through stunning scenery, and we arrived at even more stunning scenery. However, the trailhead actually starts up there, about 2 kilometres away, so because of the conditions, which is a little bit more snowy than normal apparently, they've closed the road. So it just means we've got a bit of a extra distance to walk. I left my coat in the car and I can already feel the wind, and I'm beginning to wonder if that was an error. Oh dear. Let's see. Figured it was sensible to walk back to the car because the mighty wind coming from between the mountains down the valley. It'd be foolish not to have a coat. Definitely bought the wrong footwear. Might be a bit slippery. Lizzie's bought the best shoes though. How you feel about them?
Professional as ever.
Be prepared, that's our motto. If you're like us and have lived in a hole for the last 6 years, or failed to do your research and are watching this for that, know that in March 2019, a big storm caused a flood and it washed the bridge away that you need to cross to get to see the Hooker Lake. This is the map that shows what you can do. So you can't do any of that. So instead, I think we're going to go to Kia Point and hopefully see a Kia. So that's Muller Lake. Can we go to the next one? Hoping for a good view of Mount Cook. I seem to remember that from the last time I was here, but I don't know if we can get there with the The path's closed.
Well, we've reached the end of where we're allowed to go. So danger, construction site, keep out. You can see the heli is actually probably delivering supplies to the construction because one of the bridges washed away. Can't even see Mount Cook, unfortunately. It's about as good as mountain snacks get.
Oh, yeah.
The Kiwis are doing it right. Are you ready to cross the bridge?
Yeah? Let's go! Out of 10, what would you say about that hike?
It's probably our own fault for not having the correct footwear. Basically walking on a slushy,
Yeah, look at that. It's like lake.
wet.
Can you just walk through that? Because I think it might be entertaining. Oh, okay, it's not that deep. I was hoping for a Vicar of Dibley style jump in. Watch and learn with my Gore-Tex. Oh dear. Okay, well Gore-Tex, I can tell you, isn't waterproof, everybody. Now that our feet are truly sodden wet, we decided to walk to the second point, which is called Kia Point. So we've come back to the car park that's now open. Our car's 2 kilometres from there. And we're walking up to Kia Point, which is just up here. I'm hoping that we'll get a better view of Mount Cook. And if not, we'll certainly get a better look at that glacier hanging off the edge up there. I was a bit worried for a moment that I was dragging us to a point that wasn't going to be worth it, like the last hike, but this one's delivered. Perfectly framed. Look at that. Excellent. At 3,724 metres, Aoraki, Mount Cook, is New Zealand's highest mountain. The landscape around it has been shaped entirely by glaciers, carving out these valleys and moraine lakes for over thousands of years. Even now, this area holds more ice than anywhere else in the country. That was so worth it. We feel redeemed. Vindicated. Yeah. No, really good. It was worth getting wet feet and sunburnt. Honestly, the sun is absolutely mentally bright, isn't it? Whee!
So bright.
Factor 50's on. Japanese spec sun cream. If you don't know, you should. It's great. The long walk down the road. That white speck in the distance is the car. I just feel like our holidays are like we've only got 5 days here, and it was quite rushed. Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's frustrating we don't build in any resilience into our plan. So when the weather wasn't great in Queenstown, it was kind of like, well, we've got to like it or lump it because we're only here for this one thing, and then we move on, and then we move on. And so it would be nice to do slow travelling every now and again.
Yeah.
Be able to say, okay, well the weather's not great right now, so why don't we do some rainy activities, and then when the sun comes out like today, then we could have gone in the helicopter today. Pretty incredible.
Well, I mean, it was still incredible yesterday, but
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Oh, well, we shouldn't complain. We're bloody lucky to be here.
Yeah. And the reason it's not normal to spend 5 days in New Zealand. If
True,
we've
true.
not been here, both been here twice before,
Yeah.
then obviously we spent more time, but this was a highlights tour.
Yeah. I think we're doing all right. But still, I'd love to spend more time here because it's just stunning. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. And it feels like you have the place to yourself for most of the time, particularly here in the South Island. There's no one, is there? Just remember, I've got chocolate in my bag. Lizzie? Chocolate. Sweet snack. What's that thing you said the other day?
A sea snack.
Sorry, what?
A sea snack.
What?
A sea snack.
Sweet snack. That was good.
Wasn't quite what we had in mind, but adapt, overcome.
Yeah. Agreed. We're now going to drive around Lake Pukaki, which is super blue. Blue khaki. We'll get the drone up and get some good pictures of that. After our stop in Lake Pukaki, we carried on to Tekapo and found Bata Bata, a Japanese fish and chip caravan right on the lake shore. Fried squid, crispy cod, eaten sitting by the water. Which sounds peaceful until the local bird population clocked what was going on, including this particularly bold mallard who absolutely refused to take our hints. So it turns out the application of my sun cream wasn't very effective. Face, nose, a bit red. However, on the sides, oh dear God. I obviously rubbed it in down here, but failed with the rest of my balding head. One of the things New Zealand is renowned for is dark skies, and you won't be able to see, but here with the camera, I'm stood at a church up there, which is called the Church of the Good Shepherd. It's mega impressive. The southern lights are behind it, and I'll overlay some of those images now. Welcome back. Your hideously sunburned host is in Fairlie today, and we've stopped off at the famous bakehouse for this. I mean, look, that is obscene. The size of that, and it weighs about 5 tons.
1 metric ton.
1 metric ton. I think it's going to be a bit of a boring drive back to Christchurch, but we're going to stock up on food, and then we're catching a flight at 3 up to Auckland. We'll meet my old mate Peter. We're going to go kayaking later tonight at 10 o'clock and hope to see Bioluminescence, so come along and see if we see that.
The scone is delicious.
What is it?
Fish and cheese scone.
Mine is a breakfast roll, which seems to be you've got an omelette and rolled it into a bread roll and then recooked it. Fairlie, where we just had a glorious breakfast, extremely oily, and now I feel quite well. We are heading via the inland scenic route to, I don't know how to say it, it looks like Hāwea Gorge, where there's some glacial water that kind of fragments into that beautiful kind of mini tributaries through the kind of stone. Yeah, like a delta. And I want to get the drone up and see what that looks like. Because the other route is just kind of through this prairie type landscape, which obviously is stunning, like this, with the mountains in the distance. But I think we'll go for a bit of variety. We made it to the gorge, and it turns out it's one of the windiest places in New Zealand, and Lizzie wasn't too impressed. Obviously everybody knows that a car journey is complete without snacks, and New Zealand is known for its island giganticism in its animals, but also its chocolate bars, because look at the state of that. That's insane. You ready? It's dinner time. Our flight's in 2.5 hours, and we're about 20 minutes from the airport, and from here, if we were to drive the other way, we could get to Arthur's Pass, where there is a chance of seeing a keel. But I've been banned.
Yeah, we're not driving an hour up the road to potentially see a bird that may or may not be there to get to the airport 20 minutes before our flight.
It's a perfectly plausible argument, obviously, but
I don't think I'm being unreasonable.
does anybody else do this when they're travelling? Have these ridiculous ideas of, well, if I did turn around and I drove an hour in the opposite direction of the airport, I might be able to see the thing I haven't seen yet. No? Just me? Christchurch Airport is one of the world's main gateways to Antarctica. These Hercules aircraft with the propellers are part of the US Antarctic program, flying trucks for the ice. They're fitted with skis, and so they can land directly on icy runways, and they've actually got rocket boosters to give them extra thrust to get airborne from the ice. It's not our plane today, but maybe one day we'll take a ride south. We're both really full up because we've had pies in that bakery earlier, and we've come to a domestic lounge, and it's really nice. The view is stunning, isn't it? Like, there you go. You get these amazing floor-to-ceiling windows, and then just in the distance you can see a mountain range. Anyway, now I'm going to show you some of the cakes that are on offer, because we need to have some, don't we?
I think we'll manage to squeeze a few down.
Yeah. After dinner in Auckland, we went out kayaking at night with Peter and Roz to see some bioluminescence. I'll be honest, it's much more subtle than the glowing blue everywhere effect that you see online. You really notice it when the paddle hits the water like this, and it does take a moment for your eyes to adjust, especially with the bright moon that we had. But as something to do with friends after a good dinner, heading out onto the water at night and learning about these tiny organisms and how they work is still a pretty unique and special way to spend an evening. Last day in New Zealand today, come for a walk at this amazing black sand beach. Not sure if you can see, but the sand is kind of sparkling. I think it's probably magnetic. So in fact, my phone down in it. The iPhone's got a battery, a magnet in the back. If I tap it down, yeah, there you go. Look, clearly a lot of iron in the sand. Really why it's so sparkly, but that's red hot to walk on. We're gonna get that up. And with that, our time in New Zealand ended in the Waitakere Ranges, walking black sand beaches beneath cliffs that fall straight into the Pacific. It's some of the country's finest coastal walking, with the ocean stretching out beside you the entire way. In just 5 days, we moved from snowy alpine peaks to glaciers, rainforests, stunning blue lakes, bioluminescent bays, and coastlines just like this. New Zealand's remarkably safe, straightforward to travel, and unusually varied for a country of its size. We've only seen a small part of what it offers, but enough to understand why people keep coming back. We're going to French Polynesia, and we're currently in Auckland, where it is the 31st of October, and it's 4 o'clock. Now we're going to fly across the daylight, which means that we're going to land on the 31st of October, but at 1 a.m. So effectively we've got Halloween twice this year, which means we've got a slightly longer holiday, or at least it feels that way. So come with us, see what sailing around French Polynesia is like for a week.